Salt Lake City Planning Commission meeting, June 11th. I am just going to jump right into the report from the chair. So in light of so we have a protest scheduled here at 7 p.m. And in light of the protests that have been happening nationally, the security has asked that we try to run this meeting as quickly as possible. As a part of that, I would like to suggest that if we have comments for the Northwest plan, that we email those in, and we will be talking about that project over and over again, so it won't be the last time we can have public comment. So if we can just kind of jump into the report from the planning director, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. You saw that I emailed you a number of updates this afternoon, and we'll be sending written updates where just a number of projects, because there's so many different projects that you've seen, you're going to see, and we just want to give you a bit of a snapshot. Feel free to also email back if there are other items that you have questions about. Thank you. I don't really have anything else other than I want to say welcome to Lila Rosenfield. This is her first meeting. She had her orientation at 4 to the Planning Commission. We're so happy to have you. Do you want to say anything about yourself or just say hello? Or?
Hi, I'm Lila Rosenfield. I use she, her pronouns. I'm excited to be joining the Planning Commission. I am a professional planner, so I work for UTA in my day job, but I am, of course, exclusively here as a resident of Salt Lake City. This is my home. I love it here, and I'm really excited to be working with everyone on the commission to make this a great place.
Thank you. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Keep this a great place.
Absolutely. And I also want to introduce Danette Larson, who's sitting next to Aubrey. She started this week as one of our new admin assistants. She's amazing. So you will be corresponding with Danette and seeing Danette at other meetings. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So now we are moving into open forum where commissioners may discuss planning, zoning, and general land use items that are not listed on the regular agenda. There's no public discussion associated with this. It will take up to 10 minutes if people have comments. Okay, well, we are going to move on to the consent agenda. These are matters which are anticipated will not require a lot of discussion. So the items on this consent agenda are the meeting minutes for May
12th and
May 12th. Yeah, sorry, May 12th and what?
May 28th.
The May meetings.
2025.
Yes, and then the other item is the.
Sorry, let me make a correction. It's May 14th and 28th, not the 12th.
Okay, May 14th and May 28th. And then the other item on the consent agenda is modifications to a plan development at approximately 707 South, 400 East. If there is anyone that would like to make comment on this item, they may step to the mic. No. We do approval first. Right?
Oh, you should ask if there's any emails.
No.
Mr. Chair, we do not have any emails to read into the record.
Okay, perfect.
Then you would
Can you
seek a
please
motion.
officially close the public hearing?
Oh, yeah.
So if there is no one who would like to speak on this item, then we can close the public hearing. Oh, you'd like to speak on it?
To the
Sorry, would you
Give me just a
mind
minute.
clicking the mic? and we'll need your name for the record.
Turn the light off. Hello? Hello? Is that, oh, there we go.
You'll have
yes, my name
2
is-
minutes, just so you know.
Okay, sure, no problem. My name is Gregory Roth. I live in the neighborhood of this development. I fear this may not be strictly relevant to the change that has been modified, the modification that has been proposed. Nevertheless, I did want to express a concern that I did not have the opportunity to do when this came up before previously. And that is mainly that there are a number of old growth trees that surround this property, and around many of them are on the boundaries of the property, and I'm a little concerned as to what their fate might be. So I just wanted to express that concern and urge that everything be done to preserve them, given well, how important trees are to the city, important to its objectives, and how many of them have unfortunately been cut down recently. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We will now close the public hearing, and I will look for a motion on the consent agenda items.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second that.
And Mr. Chair, then I just have a point of order for the meeting, in that the consent, any commissioner can break up their vote on a consent agenda if there are items you wish to not vote for, but any abstentions according to our policies and procedures require a reason.
Thank you.
Could you repeat that? Any abstentions require what?
A reason for why you're abstaining.
Got it.
So for example, if you weren't at the meetings, then you would say, I abstain from this, but vote for this. So does that make sense? Okay. So starting with Amy Burrows.
She's not here.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Amy Berry.
Okay, I just want to state for the gentleman who made the public comment, because this is, it doesn't pertain to what we're doing tonight, but if you talk to the planner, you can understand what perhaps any of the landscaping plan entails for those perimeter trees, and you could speak with him tonight. He's right there. All right, then I vote yes.
And then Mike Christensen,
Yes.
Brian Scott,
Yes.
Lila Rosenfeld.
I abstain from the, or am I obligated to abstain from the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I abstain from approving the minutes, and I vote yes on the remainder.
Okay. Great.
Yes, and we assume that Commissioner Rosenfeld abstains because she was not in it.
Yes, my apologies. I was not present. I am abstaining because I was not present,
Thank
so
you.
I cannot approve the minutes.
And then I will also vote yes. So that passes 5-0. And then we will be moving on to the regular agenda, the Northwest Plan update.
Actually, another point of order, Mr. Chair. So this is a work session, correct? So it's not the regular agenda. And the work sessions also then entail that they're not public hearings. So any, we won't be entertaining public hearings tonight, so that any participation would need to be emailed to Kelsey. That's all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Is it not working?
Okay. Okay, perfect. This is so different from the other room. Okay, thank you for your patience, and I will be as brief as possible so that we can get out of here safely. This is the first briefing of the Northwest Community Plan update.
Do you have any slides to share?
I do. Are you seeing it now? Sorry. Okay. So this is the first briefing for the update to the Northwest Community Plan. We will be before this body several times in the coming months as we work through drafts, work through additional engagement of those drafts, and then through the public hearing process with y'all. So the Northwest Community Plan was last updated in 1992, so it is considered one of our oldest community plans. And the current plan does not reflect current city goals and priorities for the area. And the primary purpose of the update is to address ongoing land use concerns within the community and to align with current citywide policies and goals. That includes the housing plan, the transportation plan, as well as Plan Salt Lake. So the team first assessed the existing community plan boundary to determine if it was still relevant and if it incorporates the full area of the community. Ultimately, we decided that the boundary needed to be adjusted further south to incorporate a section of the city that was actually not part of a community plan. We called it no man's land. So it was just east of the new power district and south of North Temple. So we picked up that area and expanded those boundaries. We also decided to eliminate the Salt Lake City International Airport because they have their own plan. So they do not need to be incorporated into this community plan. So the western boundary is the boundary of the airport now. And the section of the city known as North Point will be included in this plan update, but the recently adopted small area plan, I believe it was adopted last year, will take precedence over this community plan. That plan has more specific policies to the North Point community. And as you see on your screens, the purple is the new boundary. So, oh, and one more point. The plan update will also include an update to the North Temple Boulevard Station Area Plan to meet and to be in compliance with all of the state regulations for station area plans. And North Temple is such a crucial feature of this community. It will live within this document as well instead of a separate station area plan. And if any of that didn't make sense, please let me know, because the state requirements are pretty intense for station area plans. Okay, so just to kick off the plan update, the team compiled information and data regarding all of the existing conditions. So we looked into the existing neighborhoods, land use and zoning, transportation, green space and recreation, cultural resources, and the natural environment. And I attached the existing conditions draft to the memo that you received in the packet. The project team just finished the initial community engagement portion to address feedback on existing conditions and to get engagement and feedback on what the community would like to see happen within the next 10 years and what their vision is. We conducted and attended 9 different events. The events included, are listed on the screen. And we also recently had a significant uptake in survey results after a really great engagement event at Culture Coffee, where we exchanged a free coffee for a survey. So it really did change. It was great. It was a recommendation from another division, and it actually made quite a big difference in our results. So we're over 140 survey results, and we've had quite a bit of engagement from youth, which participated during the Rose Park Street Festival, as well as a career day at Bachman Elementary. To ensure equity and access to the engagement, we published the survey in Spanish. We also had flyers and information in Spanish, and we have 2 fluent Spanish speakers on the team. So let's talk a little bit about the community feedback. It has been quite varied, like starkly varied, I would say, from event to event. Some of the consensus, though, among all of the events and the feedback are primarily regarding concerns around public safety, especially within public spaces. So the Jordan River Parkway Trail, accessing transit along North Temple, any sort of spaces like that, there needs to be some consideration for increased community safety. We also heard that there are a lack of transportation connections further north into the neighborhoods. So North Temple is a very rich transit corridor. However, as you move further north into the neighborhoods, the transit opportunities decrease. There are walkability concerns along North Temple, again, with that public safety, but also with our urban tree canopy infrastructure. It's lacking. It's not a very comfortable, safe place to walk, and that does correlate to some bike infrastructure as well. So those have been a lot of the common transportation comments. We've also heard feedback on land use and zoning. There's a desire for more mixed-use commercial opportunities within the neighborhood. So potentially MU2 or MU3 after those are adopted, specifically around 600 North or 700 North where those are being reconstructed. There's also a desire for more family-sized units. North Temple is rich in affordable housing. However, they are primarily studios or one bedrooms, which has changed the demographic of this community pretty significantly. So there is a desire for more 3 and 4 bedroom units, as well as more ownership opportunities. As far as timelines moving forward, we just entered the drafting phase. So we're compiling all of our feedback that we've heard, going through all of the survey results and pulling out all of the themes. And we will start drafting policies in relation to those themes. We're hoping to have a draft, this is ambitious, but by the end of the summer that we can come back and have a discussion with the commission and present it to the community for feedback. That's all I have. It was brief. Any questions that the commission might have at this time?
I have a few.
Of course.
If that's all right. First of all, so my understanding is that there are areas to the far north of the city that are planned for annexation. Is that correct?
I'm so sorry.
My understanding is that there are areas of the city, of the county to the far north that are planned for annexation.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? Would this plan incorporate those areas?
Yeah, it would identify those areas of being annexed, but the North Point Small Area Plan will address the policy considerations for those new annex areas.
Excellent, thank you. And I guess the other question that I have is, right, like this is a part of our community that is, you know, diverse and has historically, you know, faced a lot of marginalization in the face of people just, you know, rolling over, you know, wanting to roll over their interests or needs. There are definitely like community organizations that exist that are, you know, with varying degrees of aggressiveness or radicalness, interested in pushing back against some of those, the feeling of being unheard. Are there ways that the study team is planning to incorporate the needs and thoughts and sort of voices that are that often come through those organizations?
Absolutely. Yeah. We welcome any and all feedback to the existing conditions as well as when we have a draft. We would love to hear what all of those communities and organizations have envisioned, how they think we failed, how we can improve, really any feedback. And we are open to having stakeholder interviews. We've been conducting some, those that have been interested in talking to us, but we're still working on connecting with others.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then I guess one last question, which is that this area, it also incorporates the power station area, correct?
It does incorporate the new power district. However, as part of their development agreement, they're not subject to community plans.
I am aware. I guess, how are you thinking about addressing that tension where there may be things that the community desires that the city, right, the people of the city embodied in
Yeah.
the city as incorporated, might feel that might be directly in conflict with what we are required to allow per statute from
Yeah.
the legislature?
I mean, ideally, we can monopolize on the overflow, right? If it builds out the way that they're anticipating that it builds out, and we structure the mixed-use zoning properly and requiring more family-sized units and it overflows, right? How can we help those neighborhoods and those communities monopolize on that? So that's how we're kind of looking at it. What can we put in place so that they benefit?
Is there an opportunity to incorporate, call it visionary elements, in the case that there are political changes and the city is able to retake a degree of control?
We can definitely look into that.
Thank you.
I have a couple things, Kelsey. So one of the questions I have is how then is this Northwest plan, is it going to align well with the North Point plan in terms of the physical environment as we grow with transportation as well as any, especially the ones that are annexing in, especially how those may be developed? Is there any attempt to have some congruency in that?
I mean, the team, and I think the division is considering the two areas very different from one another. This is very, I would say the Northwest community is more residential and commercial, whereas, yeah, it's challenging because they're in conflict a little bit. I could see it propping the North Point, the small area plan up, but those policies, since they're so new, should take precedence over anything else in that specific area.
I guess I would suggest to the team to keep an eye on the North Point plan for issues, but opportunities where there is natural alignment, where there isn't a stop,
Yeah.
right? And that happens a
Good
lot in our
recommendation.
natural environment. So to keep an eye on how those might flow together.
Okay.
And then I wanted to just make a comment about the North Temple walkability. You brought up tree canopies, and I see a lot of more physical obstacles to walkability along North Temple other than perhaps shade. And while we have seen quite a few residential developments, there's still a lot there, especially with the power district, that is going to probably be redeveloped over time, that I think that it would be really important. I do believe it is important that this plan pays attention better to the connections off of North Temple, the way we've done downtown, in promoting that walkability and that permeability. There are going to be physical obstacles a little bit more east on North Temple that we can't overcome, but they're big, they're there, and then it thwarts walkability. So I hope that this plan really tries to focus on those type of connections and those opportunities, because we're going to see a lot more development in that area outside of the power district, that we can try and guide how we permeate that walkability throughout those obstacles that exist now beyond a tree canopy.
It's a relatively complex issue that is beyond a tree canopy along North Temple, and I appreciate those comments. They're very in line from the comments we heard from Commissioner Christensen earlier as well. So thank you.
I have a lot to say because I've lived in the neighborhood for a while, and I was actually around when the North Temple Boulevard plan was being created and participated in all of those meetings. And the big underlying structural issue is the fact that we've got this great street grid in Salt Lake City, and as it goes along North Temple, the street grid ends at 1000 West, and then we basically end up with these huge mega blocks, which causes yeah, a lot of issues for walkability. And for example, like going along North Temple from Redwood Road to east to the Power Track station, you've got over 1,200 feet without any pedestrian crossings. And going from North Temple, along North Temple from Redwood Road to the 1950 West Track station is over 1,600 feet without crosswalks. And then on Redwood Road, going from North Temple north to 300 North, you've got another almost 1,600 feet without crosswalk. So hopefully this plan can really dig into addressing some of these issues. But also just within the zoning, like the one thing that the TSA zoning that was enacted along North Temple kind of didn't really understand well about this portion of North Temple. For example, in the downtown areas and the downtown zones, we have provision. Well, first off, we have the street grid, but on top of that, we have provisions in zoning that require developers to put in mid-block crossings to be able to break up the blocks and create more pedestrian permeability. Unfortunately, there is nothing that requires that for these areas along North Temple. And because of it, we are seeing big apartment complexes going in that the only way to get anywhere else is to walk out to North Temple or whatever the main street is, and then walk all the way around to get where you're going. So it's a situation where you could literally have a friend living next door in an adjacent apartment complex, and you end up, if you wanted to walk, you would have to walk all the way around to get there. So that's something I'm hoping that this plan can mitigate, and hoping that it can influence the power district, even though it wouldn't be subject to it. But one other thing too, shortly before this meeting started, I actually had Soren Simonson reach out to me. He's in the audience here. And I let him know that there wouldn't be a public hearing tonight, but I encouraged him to meet with staff afterwards and share concerns. And his concerns were the fact that the North Point area, the small area plan, is not included in this, and he had concerns about whether the North Point small area plan had strong enough provisions or really constituted an adequate general plan. So hopefully that's something that staff can address.
Staff has had several conversations with Mr. Sorensen about those concerns. And the position really hasn't evolved from, it will still be included in the plan. The recently adopted small area plan will take precedence for policy in North Point. That was just adopted by City Council, so that is policy. Thank you.
If there are no more comments on this item, then let's adjourn the meeting. Okay? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.